Is it really a zombie movie?
Yes, Jenks. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing 28 Days Later.
Yes.
Obviously we're getting 28 years later finally. So I have recently rewatched 28 Days and 28 Weeks. I hadn't seen them in a long time. So what better time to go back, revisit these movies and do a little review than now?
Yes. There's always a debate whether this is officially a zombie movie. Look, I'm a huge zombie fan. I do think it's a zombie movie, but as a fan, I always think the zombies need to be dead to be classed as a zombie.
Yeah.
Like, would you say that a deadite is a zombie?
No, absolutely not.
Why not? What's your criteria?
Because they're not dead. They're souls. They're demons.
They're possessed, aren't they? Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Well, the deadites aren't possessed. The deadites are what possess people.
Yeah. So the people, the bodies they've gone in are possessed, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So you wouldn't call Regan from Exorcist a zombie?
No, I know that. But what I'm saying is, what would you class as Wreck then? Or Quarantine?
It's a demon movie.
You wouldn't call it a zombie movie?
It's a possessed movie. Well, it technically is a zombie movie. It follows the same beats. They look like zombies, but in reality, they're possessed.
Yeah. It's a good debate, but yeah, they're all zombie movies. Look, they're fast, nasty, and aggressive, and they bite you and infect you. They're fucking zombies. Yeah?
Yes.
Job done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got 28 Days Later, directed by Danny Boyle. It came out 2002. It kind of started like a massive surge of zombie movies. You had Dawn of the Dead afterwards, Shaun of the Dead. I don't think Walking Dead probably would have come out without it. You know, you had the good sort of almost 10 years of zombies. But oddly enough, Walking Dead shares a very similar opener. In 28 Days Later, he wakes up from a coma after 28 days. And at the start of Walking Dead, he wakes up from a coma. Exactly the same, not similar, exactly the same. But supposedly Robert Kirkman, who did The Walking Dead, said it was a complete coincidence. I don't know if you read that.
No, I didn't actually, no.
Yeah, he said he was working on it, and he just, whoever got it out first, it was just one of those things.
I believe him.
I do as well. Yeah.
It was a comic book before the series, so it's a lot older than when the series started.
Yeah.
Probably a complete coincidence. Robert Kirkman, if you're watching this, pal, we believe you.
Justice for Kirkman.
Yeah. It's like the Gremlins Critters type thing, you know? Like, Critters was bouncing around before Gremlins, and Gremlins managed to get out first, and obviously...
Was that right?
Yeah. They actually changed the script to make it less like Gremlins because Gremlins became such a big hit.
Ah, I didn't know that. Good little fact there. But you a big fan of 20 Days Later?
Oh, I am, Jenks. And, well, I wouldn't say, like, I'm the biggest fan in the world because they're not movies I've gone back to watch loads. I remember them coming out. I was very young when the first one was released. I remember watching it. And it was probably the most scariest movie I'd ever seen when I was a kid because it is so real and raw. It's almost like a found footage movie. It feels real.
Yes.
Cillian Murphy back then wasn't a star. This was his first big role. Every movie he did after this, it was always, that's the guy from 28 Days Later.
Yeah, totally.
That's gone now. He's a superstar. Like.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But,
Oscar winner.
Yeah, so I have fond memories of these as a kid. I never went back to it much because it did scare me that much. But maybe it was like 15 years, Jenks, or so, since I watched it last. Yeah.
I love the opening, okay? So what makes this unique is that it actually gives a real origin for a fucking zombie virus. That is so rare, isn't it? Literally, it shows where the monkeys are infected. It shows them getting out, and you understand then, this is going to hit. The shit is going to hit the fan. And I don't think of any, apart from Return of the Living Dead, it's pretty much, this is the only one I can think of where it just starts properly.
Yeah, and how scary is that opening scene in the lab? Obviously, you've got the animal rights activists. They break into the lab to free the chimpanzees. And the scientist, if you want to call him a scientist, he's imploring them not to. He's like, please, guys, you do not realise what's in these monkeys. And he explains about the rage, and obviously these activists, as dumb as they are, break the monkeys out and obviously start the virus that starts 28 days later.
Yeah.
And again, it just goes to show how real and raw this movie is, because it kind of looks like the whole film, someone is filming it.
Yeah, totally.
It was filmed on a DSLR, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. What I love about the opening is they managed to film shots of London completely deserted, which is so difficult, like almost impossible. And they closed off sections, filmed really quick, and then opened it back up. I think Danny Boyle had like minutes to do it, probably the early hours of the morning. And I don't know how it works, but maybe they got Cillian Murphy to run as fast as he can to the next scene, quick, and have those aerial shots, which is, if you've ever been to London, it is so busy, it's mental. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. And you know, it is a great opening, just how quiet and eerie London is. You've got buses overturned, the streets are absolutely deserted, there's rubbish everywhere. That was probably already there. They didn't have to add that. But it's been 28 days. He wakes up from this coma. He has no idea what's gone on, what's happening. I know, imagine being in a state, right, where you wake up after a coma and that's happened. And do you know what's funny, right? When I used to watch it when I was young, I always thought, what a stupid haircut. Right? And it wasn't. And I was always annoyed with his haircut.
Yeah.
I was always like angry at him for it. And I only realised the last time I watched it, which was a couple of weeks ago, that the doctors would have done that because he's in a coma. They would have shaved half his head.
Yeah, you're right. Because some of his hair is shaved. It's not as if it's just grown wild.
Yeah.
And also, what were the doctors doing to him? Because why is he so naked? Because you're like, do you have to be naked when you're in a coma? Because I don't understand the rules.
Yeah, like waking up and going, I don't know what's more bizarre, guys. The fact that London is deserted, or I'm naked.
Yeah. And also, is it like a Kill Bill thing where the coma, where you got dodgy people coming in the room? The guy from Waterboy.
Yeah, Pussy Wagon.
But like, also as well, I know I'm nitpicking now, but because I do love this movie, but he'd have a catheter in his willy, wouldn't he?
Yeah, well, he did that off screen, Jenks.
Yeah. Oh,
they didn't want us to see that.
No, he's like, whew, that catheter was hard to get out. Whoa, I was agony. Pulled it out.
Jenks, you obviously haven't watched the director's cut, have you? It's a 5-minute scene. Slow, painful.
Yeah, like in the scene in Dumb and Dumber 2 when he's pulling out the catheter.
Yeah.
If you've seen that. But what's really great about this, and what's quite coincidentally, so when he's in London, he's walking and he sees right in Westminster, okay, by Big Ben, you see all the memorial wall where missing people's hearts and stuff. There is actually a memorial wall there now for COVID, almost in the same spot as that.
Really?
So along the wall facing the House of Parliament, there's squares where you can write in RAP for anything to do with COVID. And I was like, oh my God, that's almost like for like.
It's morbid, isn't it?
That's spooky.
Yeah, that's very spooky.
But should we talk about characters? Now, I always thought it's the first film I saw Cillian Murphy in. He's got such a good face for film. He looks like he belongs in the 70s, like a rock star. He's got such a unique face. Naomie Harris is great, and she's a big star now. She's Miss Moneypenny in the James Bond movies.
Yeah.
She's the typical sort of, I suppose you'd call her a girl boss today's standards, but that's not.
She's like a tough, no nonsense survivor. She's absolutely ruthless. Like she's been living in this world for longer than 28 days.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's like I think. Nowadays, a girl boss should just be a badass all the way through, but she becomes more vulnerable because she's kind of like given up on humanity. It's just about survival. And then she learns, actually, I do need people as the plot goes on. So she's got a really good story. She does not, in fact, it's the opposite. She starts off tough and kind of softens as it goes, not the other way around, if that makes sense.
No, definitely. Yeah. She's got her walls up. obviously she meets Jim and then they start coming down.
Yeah.
She slowly softens as the film goes on. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's a great film. I don't know why they didn't go to a farm, first of all. I don't know why they stayed in London all that time. Fighting zombies. Let's get the fuck out of there, you know. So what do you think of Brendan Gleeson then? I love this guy, and he's in everything.
Yeah, Brendan Gleeson's great. So Brendan Gleeson plays Frank. He's got a daughter named Hannah, played by Megan Burns. Jim and Selena find them in an apartment complex. Yeah. He comes out of the flat with that gear on.
Frank, his name is.
Absolutely armoured to the nines.
Yes, in riot gear.
Riot gear, and you've got that great scene where they're trying to get into the flat.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he takes that helmet off, he's like the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
The most welcoming man in the world.
I find Brian Gleeson reminds me of Morgan Freeman. He's always been old.
Yeah.
Like he's probably about 25 in this film, but he looks the same now because he's a big star now. He's in everything, and he's just always an old guy.
Yeah, this I completely forgot he was in there as well. I had a bit of a shock when I rewatched it. It's a little bit of, I wouldn't say a forgotten movie, Jenks, but it's not one that crops up a lot, not since 28 years later has been announced, to the point where, like I said, I completely forgot that Brendan Gleeson was in it.
Yeah, and I gotta say, his daughter Hannah's the worst actress ever. She cannot do an English London accent. I looked her up. She's not acting anymore. She's a singer now. She's so terrible. Like, I come back to what happens. Something bad happens, and she has to react, and she just does not know how to react.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good ensemble, and I love the fact that, like I said, it's horrible at the start, and they kind of bond as a family, and then they've heard like a radio signal from an army base or an army center, whatever, saying that the answer to infection, the cure, come to these coordinates. So they decide to jump in a black cab because it's in London. It's got to be a black cab, and they head to Manchester or close to Manchester. I can't remember now.
I think so, yeah.
And there's a great scene.
Oh my God, yeah. I was going to talk about this scene.
You tell the scene. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah. So you got the scene where the cab breaks down, I believe, Jenks. And I remember, right, I think even before I seen this film, I read about rats sensing danger and running away. So it's plague. A real thing, yeah? Yeah, from the plague. And I remember watching this for the first time, and that scene, right, where the rats just come flying around the corner and you know something big is about to go down. That is pure brilliance and terrifying at the same time. One of the most intense scenes I've ever seen. And when I rewatched it, I was hoping I would feel the same way. That's one that really stuck with me. And oh my God, it delivers.
When they're trying to get the tyre back on, it's so like...
Yeah.
If I was my wife now trying to get a tyre on, she'd be like, do you know what? I give up. You'll have to just fucking eat me. Fair play. I knew I should have learned how to change the tyre. My husband kept warning me, what if zombies ever come? Yeah, you don't think of that. That's a great scene. And then they head to the army base, and then spoiler alert, Brendan Gleeson gets some infected blood in his eyeball. And that scene is heart-wrenching because you've grown to love this guy, isn't it?
Yeah, and the way it happens as well. Obviously, that you've got that bit where he's looking up and just one drop of blood just drops into his eye. And the turnover is so quick. They turn into zombies so quick. I mean, Mia, not even a minute. He goes from being the loveliest guy in the world, and then 1 minute, one drop of blood, and then he's full rage mode.
It's awesome scene.
It's that one proper hits hard, that scene.
Yeah, though like I was saying earlier, the daughter, she doesn't react very well. Dad. It's like you're watching some children's shit program like Biker Grove.
Stay where you are.
Dad?
Keep away from me!
Dad?
Keep away from me!
But yes, he gets obliterated by soldiers. One thing I forgot to say, I'm very precious on Return of the Living Dead, and everybody says this is the first time there's ever had running zombies, and I'll tell you, it's not. Return of the Living Dead was the first, and this was the one that kind of made it famous for us, because these zombies sprint so fast.
I think someone mentioned one even before Return of the Living Dead.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was watching
one was
someone's
that?
podcast. I'm sure someone mentioned it.
No
Have
way.
to
I refuse to believe
do a
it.
little, I'll have to do a little Google.
Um,
But yeah, if we want to talk about when they get to the camp, Jenks,
Yeah.
and you've got Major Henry West and his group of perverts, I want to say.
yeah.
So what they want to do is they're living in a world where we are going to be wiped out as a human population. We are going to be wiped out, and
Yeah.
they're a group of men. There's 2 women, one very young, and then you've obviously got Hannah. They want to repopulate
Yeah.
by obviously sleeping with these 2 girls, and obviously Jim's not going to stand for it. So I'd say the second half of the movie is all set in this base, kind of away from the zombies. And then these become the villains of the movie, and they're 10 times scarier than any zombie in this movie.
Yeah, this is the part of the movie where it kind of falls for me. Like all the rest is top-notch zombie stuff. The problem I have, which I've said before to you, is that this only been 4 weeks. These people are acting like it's been like it's Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome or something, you know, where
Yeah,
the
yeah,
shit
yeah.
is they're all got Mohicans. It's 4 weeks. I went on holidays for 4 weeks once. I wasn't molesting anybody. I wasn't attacking. It's just ridiculous. Like it and also like it would, even though it's been 4 weeks, it still would have been a while before they get lonely. Like the first couple of weeks would have been setting up the thing, and they haven't been there for years, bored shitless. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but it's not just because they're lonely. They want to repopulate.
yeah, I get that, but it's like they've become savages way too quick.
Oh,
you know,
yeah, no. I get that. I get that.
if I was a soldier now, right, in a zombie apocalypse, I would just be like, right, let me stop you there. I'm not one of these evil soldiers, okay? I know you've seen a lot of movies where soldiers are always the bad guys.
Yeah.
I'm one of the good guys, I promise. Got Day of the Dead, 20 years later. Well, that's the only thing I can think of. But you got this
like fucking...
on the spot. But you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
these
yeah.
soldiers, they're bastards. Yeah.
But it does lead to that great scene where Jim goes full savage and just
it's
starts
amazing.
taking them out one by one. The mansion is completely pitch black. I think the only light they've got is from the lightning and flashes from outside. Such a great scene.
When he turns up before the shit hits the fan in that mansion, Jim's having a shower and he's naked again. I'm like, has Danny Boyle got a thing for naked Cillian Murphy?
Do you shower with your clothes on, Jess?
Well, you didn't need to see him in the shit. You could just showed him from the top half. Like, no, we've seen your willy. We want to see your ass now.
only Willie shot.
Yeah.
We don't even know who's showering.
I was laughing, right? So there's a scene right at the end, okay, where when Jim's gone crazy and he's taking out these soldiers one by one in a realistic way. He's not like beating them up. He's just hiding in the darkness and sneaking up on them. The main horrible sort of soldier, the guy from Rise of the Foot Soldier, when he gets him and Jim pushes his thumbs through his eyes, which is a great effect, by the way. His thumbs are deep in his eyes, which is always hard to watch. And then a moments later, he's snogging, he's kissing Naomie Harris, and his hands are on her face. And it's like, you got eyeball all over your finger. She's like, get off, you dirty pig.
Eyeball.
But yeah, do you want to talk about the very end then?
The very, very, very end.
Very, very, very end.
So this film doesn't end up as bleak as you think it's going to end up.
No.
There's obviously hope at the end of the movie. We do find out that they can starve and they will die out. Obviously, if no one else gets infected, this thing can be wiped out.
Yeah.
So they basically escape this army camp and they end up in, I think they're in a cabin.
Like just a farmhouse sort of thing.
Farmhouse type thing. You've got all the helicopters flying over, so they're bringing new people in to obviously get everyone out. So they kind of leave us with that taste of there's absolutely hope in this zombie apocalypse, kind of like what they did with Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
It was a period in time that's been wiped out and we're going to go back to civilization, which is a nice change. I say the same when I watch Shaun of the Dead, is George Romero, there's no happiness there. It's complete bleakness. and there's no hope. But it was nice to finish the film with a bit of hope, because when you see characters go through this much stuff and you kind of get on with them and, you kind of fall in love with the characters, there's got to be a bit of hope, Jenks.
Yes. I would say, right, this is... look, I'm not a scientist, right? And again, it sounds like a nitpicking, but only for the sake of the video.
I can't believe you just had to tell us that you're not a scientist. Thank you so much for clearing that up,
Well,
Jenks.
I did have a D in science.
I'll have you know, I'm somewhat of a scientist myself.
So I think you'd probably... No, they all die of starvation at the end, the zombies, right?
Yeah.
I think they die of thirst long before that. Wouldn't you? You don't have to be a scientist to work out. You die of thirst after about 5 days. So unless these zombies are drinking pints of water, they be gone. Now, am I right?
I also can't imagine one picking up a glass of water.
Well, that's what I mean. So they should be dying out like after about 5 days, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say so.
I'm not missing anything, am I? That is literally...
Well, I mean, the only point you're missing, Jenks, is that it's a film, but in real life, maybe, yeah.
Well, one last thing I noticed, like, they make a hello in sheets. And I'm thinking, that's a lot of sheets. I think I would have probably just put hi, H-I. It's the guy, we shouldn't have started this. It's too late.
Or at least a hay,
Yeah, and where'd they get all the sheets from?
Hey, it's a farmhouse, boy. Those pigs get cold in the winter. They need a good blanket around them.
Yeah. But yes, look, I love this film. I always said I preferred the first one, but I rewatched the second one a few months ago for this review.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I think I prefer the second one a little bit more.
I've always said I prefer the second one a bit more.
I always said I preferred the opening of the second one, but
yeah,
I think that as good as this film was, there's some clunky moments, but I would still say it's worthy of a classic because it is groundbreaking in so many ways.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I have always preferred the second one. Now, I've seen that one a lot more times than I've seen this one. Like you said, that opening with Robert Carlyle is just fantastic.
That's crazy.
But yeah, absolutely a classic. I cannot wait for 28 years later.
Yeah.
I wasn't asking for a sequel, but I will accept one.
Yes.
That trailer they've shown us, that's all I need to see. I'm invested. I absolutely can't wait to see this one.
Yeah. Right. Cheers for watching, guys. If you love horror, if you love ranking, if you love reviews, please subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.